Evening all, and welcome to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. Don't know about you guys, but I am still in cloud number 9 after that weekend. Fantastic. Delighted to be joined as usual by Franny. How we doing, mate? How was your weekend?
It was all good. I've got a wee bit worse for wearing Saturday watching at the golf and the stuff on yesterday. Still paying a wee bit today. But the result helped it.
And we're joined by our guest, Andrew, today. He's been on plenty of times before, and it's great to have him back. How we doing, Andrew, mate?
Yeah, I'm in very good spirits, my friend. Don't let the fact that I'm half blind fool you. Well, I saw all those goals yesterday.
It's a strange one today, because usually when I'm hosting, it's 2 or 3 goals or whatever, and you know in your head, because we'll discuss them in depth a bit later. But you go through the goals and I just remember off the top of my head, I had to go and sit and watch the highlights there just before we came on and just remember what all the goals were, because there was that many again. But before we get stuck in, guys, as usual, Super 6 league codes here somewhere. If you're not in, get stuck in. But I'm really glad Franny's on the night, because he's actually been knocked off the top spot. He's been giving it Billy Big Balls on Twitter for a few weeks now, and he's paying for it because he's had a few comments today. Sean Ross is now our new leader. I think he's the one that's came back to Franny this morning. Brilliant patter. Getting involved. Franny's been knocked into second. He's actually tied for second with Alistair Jack, so well done, Alistair, mate. Jay Wiggins is sitting in 4th, and I am in 5th, actually. Didn't even know that. That's handy to see as well. So I get stuck in, guys. It's a good laugh, and we're all happy at Endless Celts HQ that Franny's not leading anymore. So well done, Sean. No, me talking toilet pants tonight, mate. So let's get stuck into it. Ange Ball, full effect yesterday. Rampant, ruthless. As his motto goes, we never stopped. We never stop, and we didn't stop, Andrew. What did you make of the performance yesterday?
Right, well, as many of the listeners know, I like to do my fair and balanced one, and then I get my Celtic hat on. So I'll start with the fair and balanced. People will look at the 9-0 score and think that Dundee were absolutely rank rotten. And let's not forget, for a point in the match, there was some good football being played. It was just when we got going, we really got going. Well, I do have sympathy for Jack Ross. I think he is a good manager. He's just struggling right now. And once you get in, basically the 7-0 of their Europa weekend game, the European game just knocked the stuffing out of them all. The confidence has just dropped for them. So I do feel bad for them. I think it was just a wrong place, wrong time situation. Let me get a Celtic hat on, boys. What a game. Oh my. It's like you said, I lost count at how many goals that we had. I was the same as you, while coming on, I was like, right, I need to rewatch these. There was just so many great ones. The fact there was 2 hat tricks, like Charles says, 9 reasons to be happy. Well, add on a 10th, we leapfrog Rangers again. In terms of points fantastic. And goal difference.
Yep, and that's a great point with the goal difference as well. That's obviously a massive boost to go 9, and we've kind of been saying it in the pod for a good year or so now that with the Ange Ball and how he plays, and I thought we were just so, and it was intensive. It was high press. It was quick. It was ruthless, and it just took me back to that first training session where Andrew's mic'd up. Franny, and he says we never stop. We'll stop at half time, and when teams go up 4-5 they kind of take the foot off the gas. But I didn't think we. I think he might be, mate. I think he might be, Craig. He might be in it.
But it is a hotel room, but it's a green can.
Take me back to that first training mic'd up session, and it's exactly what we did. Never took the foot off the gas at all. Even at 7, we're still pressing in 3s and 4s. We never stopped. The motto is. And we didn't, and like I was saying, for the past year or so, Franny, we've been saying that there's one of these games, there's going to be a good trouncing here, a good 7, 8, 9, and possibly double figures, which I think we probably should have got to. But what was your take on yesterday?
It was just that sort of mic'd up session and match form, really, when you think about it. Because I think you make a good point. Well, sometimes when you do, even so, it's 4-0 at half time, and sometimes you naturally take the foot off the gas, substitutions get made, and it's one of them. But nobody was everybody was just bang at it, just going for the 90 minutes. Even when we made the 4 subs, you sometimes think that's just got to kill the game. Again, that never killed the game. They just kept on going and going and going. And you'd actually put a thing in the group chat that I think it was talking about a specific goal just that epitomised Ange's philosophy. But I think if you look at, apart from Starfelt's goal, which is a header, I think if you look at the other 8, I think they epitomises Ange's philosophy. It's just either the nice sharp passing or winning the ball high up the park, and just the sharp passing. It was just so many good goals, and like quite a lot of them. Like Abada scored pretty much 3 the exact same goals. It's unreal. Just ghosting in at that back post, as Patrick Swayze, as Ross called him yesterday. But it was just an amazing game. Like you say, I think like it's hard to say 9-0 flattered Dundee United, but I don't think they could have argued if it was more.
No, I totally agree, mate. Aye.
What I liked as well was like nobody was greedy when it got to like 7. Nobody was really being greedy. We're still passing it about each other to try and create the chance. It was not just going yourself and taking pop shots, but I think it could have been more.
That's a mad start there. That somebody, I can't mind who it was there, Stephen, but it says Karen. That's a great start. Took us to November to get plus 20 goal difference, and we're there already. We're not even at August yet. Aye, bang on, Franny. I think I sent that message to the group chat. I think it was the 4th goal. I think it was Jota's goal, because it was like 3 or 4 quick passes, and then it was right across goal at the back post, and I was like, that is Ange Ball. It was just, and then we scored another 4 after that were carbon copies. It was just everything that the team tried to do, we pulled off. And like we say, we've seen this coming for a while, but to see it, it was like, it's strange because I wasn't surprised. I wasn't sitting going, oh my god, there's another one. When it got to, I think Ross sent in the chat, I think it was half time, he was like, we're getting 10 today. And I actually texted him. I texted Ross first thing that morning because he had a bit of share heat on him as well for the golf game on Saturday. And I says 7-0 today, and that'll cheer you up. And I wasn't anywhere near. We could have got double that, which is mad to think about it. But they were just absolutely ruthless. So let's get stuck into the goals, if we can remember them all anyway. And the first 3 should be pretty simple because they were all scored by the same man. Kyogo, what a start to the season he's had, Andrew. There's been, and well, his second goal especially, I mean, but I want to talk about his movement as well. I seen Kenny Miller was on Sports Scene. I don't know if the two you've seen it, but
yes,
Kenny Miller was giving it he's always in the right place at the right time, and he's offside, but he comes back onside, and I don't know if it's luck or it's fucking shut up. It's not luck. It's his movement.
What the Ludamall is he on? I mean, honestly.
And the first goal, specifically the first goal, he's standing like 40 yards offside before we go through. That's like that's no luck. Like, I don't think he's stupid. I think he knows what he's doing. What about Kyogo's performance and his goals especially, and his movement specifically? He's just unbelievable, isn't he?
He's unreal, man. Like, he's so quick, and he's very accurate with his passing. His second goal, wow, just an absolute beaut. It was one I watched it about 3-4 times just to make sure that I'd actually seen it right. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Nakamura. It's when he'd done it. It was so crisp. It was so precise. The only difference was Nakamura was a free kick specialist. He didn't even have a free kick. It was just touch, bang, straight in. You're like, whoa, this is mental. This is that. And it was when that second goal went in, I had a feeling we were on to a pumping. I was like, we're going for it. When like you said, the only way they could top going 4-0 up at half time was scoring another 5 goals in the second half. They were literally anything you can do, I can do better than themselves. And it's the same, like you were saying with the substitutions, like everybody just slotted in. It was like no substitutions were made. They all knew what to do. Their part was being played. You can tell that everybody is right up for the Ange Ball revolution. Like, they're all there for it. They all know what to do. They're a machine. They're so well organized. It's very rare to see a crack in the armor. Sadly, we saw a crack in Hart's skull. But even then, most people would have been like, right, there's blood. I'm out. What a warrior. What an absolute legend. That is what Ange has brought to this team. A never say die attitude where they look at a bit of blood and go, flesh wound. Okay, let's go. I honestly think if Kyogo had broken his leg, he would still have scored a hat trick.
Well, I think he showed that before, isn't he? He was, I mean, that cup final game last year, he wasn't fully fit, and he's always wanting to play. But Franny, Kyogo, his movement is spectacular. Like for me, and we kind of touched. Well, I'm going to actually touch on that Egyptian king, because I actually personally, I think his first goal was an unbelievable finish. When he goes through, he takes his time, and I think he opens up his body as if he's going to go to that post, but he pulls it to the far again corner. And for me, he's obviously he puts the ball in the back of the net, but I don't think he's the most natural finisher. And I love this second goal because it was a strike of a natural finisher. But everything for me is his movement creates these opportunities. It's not so much like he's a deadly finisher for me. But he kind of proved that wrong yesterday because his first two finishes were immaculate. What did you think of his performance? And again, I want you to touch on this Kenny Miller saying, I don't know if it's luck or no. Like I said, the first goal, he's literally standing 40 yards offside before he comes back into play again. There's no luck about this. This is his game, isn't it?
It's total intelligence. I wouldn't say Henry made a career out of doing it, but Henry done it at Hunters, stood miles offside because he knew he wasn't interested in the first pass. He was waiting on the second or third pass when he then becomes onside. So it's like you say, it's intelligent move. Well, it's not movement as such, but it's intelligence to know where to be in the park to try and gain an advantage. It's just using your noggin really. But his first goal, I think it showed real confidence just to take that touch to then give him all the time to pick what corner he wants to go to. Abada's pass to Jota for that is absolutely ridiculous for that goal, to be fair. Like it just straight into Jota's stride and Jota just has to play it across and gives Kyogo all the time in the world to do what he does. The second goal was just frightening, just one hit and then it's in. Then the third goal, just that one where it's just across the back post and he's in there. But I don't think it's not Kyogo we know is a special player, but I think we're really, really seeing what a proper summer where he's had a wee break as well. Obviously, the Japanese league and things like that come for that. And I think we might be actually seeing the true Kyogo this season as opposed to last season where he was, like you say, getting injured, played the cup final and done wonders, and when he was available done wonders, but did miss big parts of the season. So I think the break's done him a power of good, and it's like you say, he started flying, and it's actually unbelievable. Like his 3 goals, the movement in them was just, it's absolutely brilliant. He's miles ahead of a lot of Celtic players, I think, with his movement. And it's just if we can find a pass he's quicker, it's madness what he probably could do.
Kenny Miller is a ball bag. You're right, Monty. I mean, like even his second goal for me, it's obviously all reaction and he brings it in the top corner, but it's more his movement for me. He's not moving for the pass there. His movement is anticipating the ball breaking or whatever, and then it's all just reaction after that. I just think he's a special player. He's bought into the club. He's bought into everything, and I love watching his interviews. And I just think he's just an absolute magician. We're so lucky to have him. So Kyogo got a hat trick. It wasn't good enough. We got 1 hat trick. We needed 2 in the team. So I'm going to fire back to you, Franny, because we've got to talk about Abada, who, by the way, is still only 20 years old, which frightens the life out of me. He's always in the right place at the right time, it seems to me, and he always manages to nick a goal whenever he plays. The age-old argument for this season so far, anyway, if we should be playing him or Maeda, he's obviously staked his claim with that performance yesterday. But how good was he, and how good do you think he can be, Franny?
I think he can. The way he started, he would, if he get totally carried away, he probably could go at a really high level, maybe be anything he wants to be. He's got all the attributes. He's fast. He's got to be a bit tricky. He can score goals, goes in at that back post and things like that, gets plenty of assists. So on that, you would say he could probably go to the highest level. And I think if he really puts the dedication in, he will get there. Hopefully spends another few years at Celtic and hopefully with Ange. But his 3 goals, they were all pretty much carbon copies. And the third one for the hat-trick, I really like that one, how he showed the confidence just to dink it over the goalkeeper and things like that. But I think it was like along with 3 goals, it was like 1 or 2, like 1 assist as well. Then also had that pass leading up to Kyle's goals.
Yep.
An absolute great performance all round for Abada, where like Maeda has started the season flying, Jota started the season flying. You're sitting going, I know Abada had a great season last season, but where does it fit? Not where does it fit in the team, but how does it get into the team now?
Yeah.
And then when he gets into the team, he scores a hat-trick and sets up one. So you're like, oh well. I mean, he's staked his claim. He's done I don't know what Mary can do to actually stake a claim, but it's come back to that things that we've been saying for ages. Well, it's healthy debates we're having about who starts.
It's a no bad place to be in, eh?
Aye.
Andrew, what do you think about his performance, first of all? And I know we're getting ahead. We've got a game on Wednesday night, which we'll touch on later on, but we've got the big one next Saturday, and there's a bit of debate. Was it for you? Would you go with Abada, or is Maeda the one that slips in there? I'd like to hear your thoughts, because we've had the debate on the podcast 100 times before for these guys. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I think both our hat-trick heroes do deserve a rest for Wednesday. Because they fair put in a shift. As Francis very rightly pointed out, his goals were essentially carbon copies of everything that he done. So the thing that I had concern about was, you make a mistake. If a goalie makes a mistake once, fair enough, and they make it 3 times, something's kind of no right with the goalie. You kind of should have clicked at that point. And like you said, the fact that he had the confidence just to chip him, and you're like, that's where they just go, they smell blood. And that's what he was doing. He was just totally sniffing. In fairness, I think Giacomakis is also a good shout. Providing that he is fit, to play for Wednesday. We've just got such great strength in those positions now, where as if we looked back 2 years ago, we'd be like, oh God, who are we relying on? Lee Griffiths? No. Now we're like, Lee who? Because we've just got so much depth and strength. The squad is really good. Everybody is, like I said, they know what to do. They're fighting. But see if they want to play. If Abada and Kyogo are like, look, we're fit, we're fine, let's keep going, fling them in. Because they've had their hat-tricks, goals breed confidence. Their confidence will be through the roof. Let's see how many more that they can get. And Ross County is always a difficult one, especially when it's a cup game.
Yeah, definitely, mate. The good thing is we've got. I was going to touch on that later on as well, kind of the squad depth this year as well, and how immense it is. But I mean, it doesn't really matter who's coming in at the moment. It's as Ange was always talking about, it's the collective, and I think we've seen that. I mean, Kyogo and Abada have obviously scored hat-tricks, but they've not so much stolen the headlines for me anyway, for what I've seen. And that, I think that shows the collective, how good we were as a team, because we were immense. We know you're wanting Abada and Stephen, we know that. Abada was immense. We've got to go on to the next 3 goal scorers as well, and we'll just touch on the goals. Jota, who has been getting rave reviews this year, the best player in the league. He got a goal and assist, and he's nowhere near the headlines, which is nuts. Absolute bonkers. That was the goal that I text Franny, the group chat, before the other 5 came along. And I just thought it was pure liquid football, as was the first, to be fair. And it was just that's the one that I was like, oh, that's just Ange Ball. It's just intensive. It was just, the pressing was unreal. I thought a lot of our goals came for the press, and just the quick passing and the movement was immense. Jota had another fine game again, didn't he?
It was brilliant. Well, he started the season absolutely flying. Gets his goal yesterday, a couple of assists as well. Still looking good along the way, and I think on his days by country mile, the best player in the league. Definitely up there with Callum McGregor. And he's got obviously all the flicks and tricks, the type of player that gets bums off seats, but he's a little bit more intelligent. Because I think it was yourself that touched on it last season. It was almost reminded you a bit of Ronaldo when he first came at Man United, but it was maybe a bit too much of the flicks and tricks. But he seems to be, again, another one that's taking his game to another level now that he knows he's actually, maybe it's just because he knows he's settled, he knows where he is, he knows where he's got to be playing his football at least for the next couple of seasons anyway. So it's all positive in how it seems to be at Celtic, and it's amazing. Jota's just flying now. It's brilliant. It's
flying, I know. As is everybody else, like we've said. We've obviously had our say on Jota. Oh, don't we all echo that, Alistair? Every single one of us. Andrew, obviously we've all had our say on Jota this season. What's your thoughts on how he's started the season, not just in that game against Dundee United, but how he's hit the ground running so far, and what a signing he's been for us?
Well, Francis rightly pointed it out. Like the back half of the last season, he was unsettled, and the performances dropped. So you could see what his mind was going elsewhere. But this time we got him pinned down. Granted, it was a bit later than a lot of us were hoping, but we got him pinned down.
He was too busy touring the world on holiday.
Exactly. I was taking that as like he was doing like a survey monkey, going around all the Celtic fans. Like, so if I stayed, how much do you think I'm worth? I think he was just doing that. I think he was just like assessing the fan options with it. But the fact that he is settled, just means that the consistency is going to come with him. And like you said, like his assists, like his overall play was just totally fluid. Like anytime you got the ball, you just thought, right, it's going forward. Who's he passing it to? To get it sorted. And then, like I say, his goal was just lovely. And I love his celebrations. Like he seems like the type of guy that you would want in your team, no matter what. And again, it's all down to the fact, and I think this is the thing with the whole team. They've all settled. They've all had that kind of first season run of it's been up and down. But now we're in the second season. We're finding our groove. A couple of guys have came in that have been able to go, look, this is the Ange way. Do it or get to. And we're finding that kind of confidence in that type of groove. When I was doing my research for tonight, I was checking out a couple of the other Celtic channels as well, because I wanted to make sure I was up to my game. And they were saying that it was one of the best performances that they'd seen since the Brendan Rodgers era. And I was like, well, yeah, because we never saw a 9-0 off of Brendan Rodgers. Look at this. I mean, look at this. That's the last time we had like that high of goals was against Hamilton in the 1980s. It's just always records are there to be broken, and we were just like, okay, this is us. We're on our game. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's a great point you make about Jota and the team as a collective as well. That he's another one that's really bought into the club. And I mentioned it before in previous pods about whenever we score a goal, it's like every member of the team's up there celebrating with each other. And even yesterday, that's a good point as well. Daniel Forrest I thought he was excellent when he came on, and I'm a bit disappointed because with Haksabanovic coming in, it looks like his time's going to be even more limited. So it was great to see him come on. What was I saying there? I would celebrate every goal. Totally forgot it. Daniel, you
lost me.
What was off the back of my thing saying that they're quite settled now.
Aye. And as a collective, like you see it on social media, they're all out together and they're all having meals together and all that as well. They love it, and why shouldn't they? We're the best fan base in the world. They're playing some unbelievable football under a top manager. It's exciting to see. I can't wait to the future, and I cannot wait for the Champions League to start.
Oh,
I think so. Jed's made a great point. I was going to touch on it later on, but is this better than Rodgers' team, Fanny?
I would say football-wise, it's better. I mean, I'm enjoying it better than Rodgers. I'm enjoying it better than Rodgers' team. It's hard because Rodgers' first season didn't lose a game, won the treble on that. But you're playing against a better Rangers now. I appreciate that. So it's a hard. I would probably still argue individually maybe there was a lot better players in Rodgers' team, but you can't argue the collective is probably better right now. Like guys like Dembele and Sinclair and even like Lustig and stuff were absolutely brilliant. But for me, I would probably still edge towards Brendan Rodgers' team would win. But I honestly would understand the argument otherwise too.
It's interesting. Andrew, what do you think? It's hard to disagree when it's a team that's went unbeaten a whole season and won treble after treble. But what do you think? Do you think Ange's team is better than Rodgers' tenure?
Personally, for my opinion, I think so. Fran made a good point that Rangers were back in Rodgers' era, but they were still in their infancy, trying to get to the level they wanted to be at. You could tell that with the 5-1 drubbins, and the infamous Lustig police hat celebration. They were in. Definitely. And after at the same time, Rodgers did everything that he could possibly do up here, aside from winning Europe. That'll be a test as well. That'll be something that will really kind of get the debate going if Ange can do well in the Champions League.
It's a great point.
That's another point for later on in the show, I assume. Yeah. But I would say in terms of the football itself, how it's played, it is the Celtic way. It gets the bums off the seats. It gets us passionate. Even if you lose a game, you're like, we gave it a go. We gave it a real go. With Rodgers' ones, if you lost the game, you would have been like, right, he should have changed his tactic. He should have just that. I agreed with the previous comments back. Some of the Rodgers games did bore me to death. Because it just seemed like he was just going to ride through the rest and then just wait to Rangers and then turn it on. Where I think if there's a point to be made that has backed up the points, the Egyptian king has fired in yet again.
I think there were some great points made there, Andrew, mate. I think it's hard to tell when we're only a year into Ange's reign. In 3 or 4 years' time, when we'll look at the trophy cabinet, it might be a bit more simple to compare. I think the European side of things is another great point. I think we'll see what he does in Europe, because obviously Rodgers wasn't very successful in his time. We had a few drubbins under him. But you're bang on. For me, it's the most exciting football I've ever seen at Celtic Park. I would go back to Tommy Burns' era where we were playing great football, but this is second to none. And they fans and they stands are always singing about playing the Glasgow Celtic way every week, and I think that's exactly what we're doing just now. The attacking intent and the flair, and we're not just winning games, we're winning games in style, and it's just long may it continue. Ange is a god in my eyes. He's quickly becoming my favourite Celtic manager of all time.
It's just proof God wears a jumper.
Yep. And let's pray that he stays for a long time to come and we keep having success.
Cheers,
Monty, I think Stephen said something similar before we came on tonight, but I believe that. Franny, Juranovic got in the act as well. I've loved this boy since he's came in through the doors. And what an assist from Hatate as well. What did you make of the goal?
We even started showboating with the assists in that. It was an absolute terrible free kick when you think about it. Because clearly Kyogo and Hatate there caused some sort of confusion, and then O'Reilly just gets the free kick totally wrong. But fair play to Iran, it's one touch, takes a strike, and then I think the keeper maybe when he sees it over won't have done better, but again he was unsighted because it's went through the wall. You'd maybe question the wall a wee bit, but no, they probably should have done better and stuff. But Juranovic, I mean, in fairness to Ralston, if you want to look at football with numbers, Ralston I think his numbers stack up better than Juranovic and stuff. But I think on the ball and I just think Juranovic is a lot comfier. He looks a lot more settled when he's on the ball. But crossing, I would say Ralston's a better crosser of the ball. He's clearly a better goal threat, but I just think as an all-round football player, Ralston Juranovic is a way ahead for me in Ralston. That is no slant on Ralston. You can't fault what the guys gave for us ever since Ange came in. So, but I've always been a big fan of Juranovic and things like that. But it's another one that goes back to the healthy debate, and I would understand folks' argument for Ralston, but I just think Juranovic is a better class act, especially on the ball.
Quality footballer, yeah. I've always said I think he could play a number of positions. You could put him centre midfield and he would do a job as well. Monty, that's a good point. I said that on to the guys in the group chat on Sunday when I noticed we made a few changes. I thought it would be nice to see a bit more of him. We've seen a bit, which was great. I'd like to see a bit more of him as well. Good point, mate. And the last goal, a prolific goal scorer now. He's up there with KyoGOALS, Carl Starfelt, Andrew. Another great header and another goal for a set piece, which I think the team taking a bit of flack for that last season, and seems like we're getting better in that regard. So, what did you think of his goal first of all, and then Starfelt as well? He's obviously came in for Jens. Another one that we had debate on this podcast about is which one you're going to play, and what's your thoughts on Jens as well, and out the two, what do you think going forward? Who do you think cemented a first place, if that's even a thing under Ange, a first 11 place?
Yeah, I think you've backed up by saying that I don't think there is a first team kind of lined up. Whereas you think that's normally a bad point if you look at some other teams that we just battered 9 goals against. You'd be like, okay, right, you haven't been able to get your starting 11 right. Maybe there's a problem. In our case, it is like a massive solution. Because we can trust, we can rotate, and everybody's going to play the part. Starfelt he came in for a lot of slack in the first season. Some of it was a bit harsh, some of it was justifiable. I could understand it. But getting the 2 goals in the bounce, I mean, what is it with defenders and using their head and just being like bump just straight in? You never see a defender just straight slide in or just a nice wee chip. Nothing like that. It's always the heat straight in. But yeah, 2 goals and counting. Again, his confidence will do the world of good from getting those goals as well. Jens, I think, is a really, really promising talent. He's proved it already. And we're 5 games into the season. He's proven his worth. And I think there's a very, very promising partnership that could be formed. But at the moment, I would maybe keep Starfelt just because the goals will bring confidence as well. You know that he's going to be sound at the back. You know he's also going to maybe help you out the front if you're really struggling. If they're maybe having an off night and things just aren't firing. I don't see that happening, but it's always better safe than sorry. Very good point there. The fact that it went in and off the post as well.
Lovely. It's always nicer when that's the case. Fanny, what do you think of Starfelt? Because I think I said it to you guys. Oh, that's right, by the way. I know I mentioned the Super 6 at the start and tell everybody go on it, but mind, there's midweek ones you need to get your...
What about midweek ones? Get on it. What about the midweek one?
Sean, you keep going, mate. You keep firing in the scores and keep running off that perch. Starfelt, I think I said it to you guys on Sunday, and by the way, I know Dundee United weren't great, but I thought Fletcher kind of caused us problems at times, and I was wondering if Ross always talks about it specifically about playing the fixture, and I was like, I think did Starfelt get put in there to try and deal with the physical side of Fletcher? Because for me, that's his game, and I think Starfelt's a very good defender. I'm a fan, but he still gives me the fear when he's playing out. And there was a couple of times in Dundee United as well when he's giving the ball away. Well done, Sean, mate. Yeah. Top of the league. There was a few times when he's strong and he wins the ball and then he takes 2 touches and it just looks panicky to me. Do you think that he was put in because to deal with that physical threat of Fletcher, first of all? And what's your thoughts? Because Jens has hit the ground running this year as well, hasn't he?
Maybe getting a wee bit carried away with Jens, but we've watched football long enough to know a good player when we see one as well. And I think we've said as well, I think it was Ross that initially said that Jens just seems like Julian, but with the right attitude. So for me, I think Jens looks a lot better in next day CCV, which sounds unfair on Starfelt considering what he done last season. He was part of the best defence in the league and things like that. So, but I think that's a good point of making. I never actually looked at that it's maybe came in for the physicality, because it does generally win a lot of his aerial duels. Obviously, Fletcher won some yesterday, but when it comes to just defending, Starfelt is really good at it, but he does still give away does look uncomfortable. Some dodgy fouls and dodgy positions, like you said, giving the ball away in some stupid positions. But I would personally be going with CCV and Jens, because Jens looks, the way he plays seems to be an Ange type player, how he can bring it out for defence and start attacks. I mean, obviously Starfelt's got 2 and 2, but we've seen Jens has got a couple of goals as well. He's even one of them being an overhead kick and stuff. So for me, I would go CCV and Jens, but that's probably been a wee bit harsh on Starfelt considering what he'd done for his last season and his last couple of forms. But I think Jens, just what I've seen him, suits the style a lot better. He looks comfy bringing the ball out for the back and stuff.
It's really interesting to see all the comments. There's lots of debate, lots for Starfelt and lots for Jens. It's really interesting debate. I really, I love that. I love it. I just think I think I can't remember who it was said it there, but I think we're all in agreement. It's rotation and using the squad, because for me personally, I think that's why he went with Starfelt yesterday, and I think it might be Kevin 14, bang on, mate. I mean, if you're, I feel like if we're coming up against a striker and it's like Giacomakis, I think Starfelt's the man in there to deal with physicality. And I think if we're coming up against a Kyogo, a quicker ball playing defender, and Jens would be the one to go with. So it's interesting. So does everybody think that CCV is just the nail on then, and then it's the other one? That's interesting. You think that, aye? CCV is the number one, and then it's just whoever's playing alongside them. That's interesting as well. Very interesting.
I think the fact that it was on loan and they made it the priority to get him.
Yeah.
What when you get the fridge and then you get the freezer. Always make sure you prioritise the fridge.
Alistair saying play 3 at the back in Europe. I think Stephen's a big fan of that as well, wanting that to go forward, but I don't think Ange's going to change his style. But it's options, plenty of options to have at Celtic now, which is great. Another talking point, Andrew touched on it slightly earlier, and I named this segment Staples Through the Heart. Joe Hart got a sore one at the start of the game. And I kind of wanted to talk about it and touch on it because, first of all, I wanted to see what your opinions were on the if it should have been a yellow card, should have been a red card. What did you think about that? First of all, what did you think of the challenge? Do you think it should have been punished more, Andrew, or did you think a yellow card was enough? Did you think that he had a right to go for the ball and it was just a late challenge? Or
I think it should have been a red. Personally, I think you go for the head, and in any way, shape, or form, head, and especially if you cause blood, I think it should be a straight off, because that's what it's. We see so many things in the game now about all the stuff that happens with like the CTE and all that kind of thing. Like there's always talking about like the head injuries. I mean, it could have been a better check. We don't know. The head is such a delicate place. Don't get me wrong. A lot of Scottish people don't use their head, myself included. But it's something that I don't. It's something you've got to be really, really careful about. Fletcher was careless. It was too aggressive. That might be. That's the Scottish football that we were used to seeing of old. Especially with Celtic style, we've come a long way. And it showed in that game. Fletcher should have been off. I'm sorry, get big Luggo out of there.
That's fair, mate.
He was too much of a threat. But again, well done to Joe Hart. What a trooper. He gets, like you said, stapled up, and he's like, okay, just another day at the office. I need to just get some. I might need to afford one of those hair transplant things after that. I'm all good.
I think he said that on his Instagram, mate. I think his Instagram said something along the lines of just a few strands of hair. But Patrick McLaughlin, you're bang on. The saves were unbelievable, first of all. But it looks like a lot in the comments saying red, Franny. I think it was Kevin 14 said yellow. What's your thoughts on it? Did you think it was a yellow or a red? My first initial thoughts was a yellow, and I've watched it time and time again, and I'm right on the fence. I think yellow card was probably enough, but I can see why everybody wants a red. I think if that's in the middle of the park and the challenge is just as late, but it's on an ankle, he gets sent off for it. So I can see why people are saying red in that sense as well, because he was very late. He had he's all right. He's got a right to go for it, but it was late. So what do you think, Franny?
I'm actually surprised with all the folks saying red, to be honest, because I even at the time thought the yellow was harsh, because for me, I thought the ball was there to be won. I would be wanting my striker to go in there, and I don't know if, I think folk are maybe judging it on the injury and the actual challenge. They're wanting a red card because he's got staples in his head and no really thinking about the challenge for me. Yellow card is probably, I think the ref probably was one of the ones, for me, he had to give him the yellow. It was, I think the ref felt he had to yellow card him, but I would have been, if Fletcher never got any card, I would have been alright with that. For me, I want my striker to go in there and try and win that. Joe Hart's made a really good save. The ball broke out and it's set to be won. I would have been okay with Fletcher not getting a card. I think some of the decisions, some of the folk comments in red, I don't know if they're basing it on the back of the actual injury as opposed to the challenge itself.
I also think that maybe one of the reasons they wouldn't have went for a straight red, remember it was in the 4th minute. What a lot of people,
that's a good point.
A lot of people are very hesitant to give red cards that early in the game because they're trying to get the feel of it and try and keep it and trying to get cooler heads prevail. I think maybe if that type of incident happened later on in the game, it could have been a different story.
There's Franny's getting off Monty tonight. Ross is sitting at home with his feet up with a beer going, fucking yes.
Monty, you've had a go at me, you've had a go at Fran. I'm worried what's coming next.
It's usually Ross getting it stinking off him.
I really like the debate tonight, because it's a lot of disagreements in the comments, especially as well. There's lots of shouts for red, lots of shouts for yellow. Kevin 14, I think, said yellow. Lots of reds. I just think for me at first, I thought it was a yellow. It's an interesting one, but my first thought was, if that's in the middle of the park and it's 2 midfielders and he's that late on somebody's ankle, that's getting given as a red all day long. So I can totally understand it. It'll be interesting when that's a good point, Brown Warrior. That's a great point as well. I'm up too, and it showed Joe Hart as well. To touch on what Andrew said as well, he's bang on. He's an absolute warrior. No pun intended. To continue on and because I thought because it was a long time they worked on him.
Aye.
And you actually seen him stapling his head. I thought, well, there's no way he's going to continue here. And obviously, I think the rule is now if you get concussion, that's it. You're coming off. So they obviously did the test, and he didn't have any of that. I would assume so. But it'll be interesting when VAR comes in. I wonder if they looked at that, if that would have changed their minds as well. It's an interesting one. But great debate again. I'm loving it tonight, troops. It's been brilliant. United in turmoil. Were they that poor? Were they poor? Or was it just that we were that good? Ross put up a great post, I think, on the Endless Celts page on Facebook. If you're not on that, get joined into that as well and get in the debate there. That's kind of like our group chat during the week, and we all put our thoughts in there. So get in there. And he put a great post up just suggesting that the press are going to end up... I've not seen any of the media that much today, but they were going to talk about how bad Dundee United were rather than how good Celtic were. Andrew, what do you think it was a lot more to do with Dundee United being poor, or do you think we were just absolutely blowing them off the park and it didn't really matter who we were going to be playing on the day? We were going to rack up a sizable amount of goals. I
think it was a bit of both. Because we didn't score our first goal until the 15th minute. We didn't score our second goal until I think it was the 42nd minute. So there were spells in the first half where United were playing well. Obviously, like we've touched on the Fletcher incident, but there was points they looked like they were wanting to try and go for it. I think maybe them trying to go for it was ultimately their undoing, because they just left themselves too exposed. And then the second you get those, you go in 4-0 down at halftime, the heads are naturally going to drop. They're thinking, let's not make this a 7-0, and they just, quite frankly, their arse fell out. It's something that I'll feel really bad for Dundee United about. Again, if I'm taking off my Celtic hat. I'll feel bad for Dundee United, because that's all they're going to be known for a long time. When they look at this result, they'll just be like, they were poor, they got gubbed 9-0, but they did play a good game in the first half. You could tell that they were up for it, that they wanted to go for it. As much as I think Fletcher is an a-hole and should have had a red card, he went for it. He was showing the passion that they were needing. So I can understand on both sides, but I think when Celtic got going and that is certainly a
crazy
very
stat,
interesting stat, Patrick. But yeah, I think once we got going, there was no stopping us.
I think
anybody could have been on that game. Even Mulgrew and Watt, I think he even could have been playing Watt for the start. Would have get crucified.
I think I would agree with that, Franny. I like I say, I've not seen the media this the day, so I don't know whether they're praising Celtic or Blackburn Dundee United. And there was a few goals there that they kind of sold as well. The defending wasn't great, but I think whoever we turned up against on that day, we would have given. It might not have been 9-0, but we would have given a trouncing. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it was just one of the days where somebody was going to get, like you said, it might not be 9-0, but somebody was going to get scudded on yesterday. And like Andrew said, Dundee United did start the game well. They were getting close to Celtic, making it a bit physical. But I think the second half, I don't know what Jack Ross said at half time, but you'd think he would be like saying, just trying to lose the second half and let's not go out and just keep it tight for the first wee while, and then maybe try and nick a goal because you maybe think Celtic will take the foot off the gas and will maybe take 1 or 2 minute touches, not play the killer pass all the time, maybe get a chance, we'll try and win the second half. But I think the Dundee United players need to take a serious look at themselves because they just never really turned up that second half. They never really got close to us. Other than my shoe, yours carry on. They never really got close to Celtic. I mean, obviously a lot of that's down to Celtic as well. We did still pass the ball really quick and sharp and stuff and played through the lines, but not that you want to see folk get injured, but when he's getting gobbed a wee bit, something in you maybe wants to just put a challenge in, like just kick a ball, just like can you kick a ball, foul somebody, get something, maybe gets the team up for a wee bit. But I felt like Dundee United chucked it quite early doors in the second half, the players. But Celtic, I do think, were just turning anybody over yesterday.
I think Sean Dillon, was it Sean Dillon that was on Sky Sports? I think he mentioned that as well. He said, like, no, you're not want to go out and like take anybody out, but he says I just felt like Dundee United should have been a bit more in their face, a few hardy challenges. Egyptian King said something about the FIFA Ultimate Team doing. I think if it was Jack Ross would have rage quit at 3 or 4-0 and left, so he wouldn't have seen the 9-0. And then no, I think I don't know. I think it was Ross that said, I know, mate. I know. I think Ross said that they were making 3 changes or something at one point, and he says you could keep the 3 on and add another 3 into the team and we'd still pump them. I think he's right. I think we were just that relentless that it didn't matter who we were playing. We were going to give anybody any team in the league that were playing us, I think we would have gave a down on Sunday. They were just right up for it for the start. And I've always said if we get an early goal, we just put the foot down and we don't stop. It wasn't as early this time, but as soon as we I think Real Madrid must be citing ourselves. As soon as we get a goal, it's as if it's like we just hit through the gears and we go from first gear to fifth gear, and it's just like, right, let's go and get another 4 or 5 now. Electric to watch. So I'm glad there was a bit of agreement there. I think that Celtic deserve a lot of credit for what they did yesterday, not so much the Dundee United downfall, to be fair. So aye. Next up, we're going to touch on, we're kind of touched on it a wee bit so far, but the rotation in the squad. Obviously there was a few changes there on Sunday, but for me, whoever's coming in is just as good. If you're getting likes of Starfelt, it's great debates we're having. Abada's in for Maeda's and Starfelt's in for Yensi's, and it's
the Egyptian King's on fire with his comments, man.
It is, mate. So it's not a great, and it's again the collective, the team. The rotation is going to be pivotal this year. I think we might see a few changes on Wednesday night actually. But I wanted to ask you, Franny, first of all. I kind of said tail end of last season, there's only 3 or 4 players that are indispensable. I think I said it was like Hart, CCV, Calmac. I think they 3, they need to be in the team. First of all, no qualms, nothing, no arguments. And that was no slighting any of the other players. I just thought that in their positions, like Kyogo, if he comes out, Gigi's coming in, and it's like we're not going to miss him We're obviously going to miss his qualities, but we're not going to miss him as much because Gigi's a wonderfully talented footballer as well. Now I'm not so sure that there is anybody that's indispensable. I think everybody's replaceable in that team, and there's not going to be a drop off. What do you think? Do you think there's anybody in there?
I would still I would still have the three in my head. Like Calmac just seems to play every week, every minute, every game. It doesn't really matter who it's against. He just seems to play.
I think he's played like 84 games a season for about 6 seasons solid. Like he's just non-stop.
Madness, absolute madness. But
get him on. He needs to message us, Egyptian King, if he wants on.
But I would still say I don't know if indispensable's maybe the right term for it. I think you could let him drop out, and we've seen obviously with Moyes getting better and seems to be getting better and better every game he plays. So obviously, I would say they're not as important, but it would be more. I think you'll get away with them not playing the odd game here and there. But if you were to lose them for a period of time, I think that's when the players would be a bit of an issue for the players. Like obviously, Seagrass, we've all seen what he done at Dundee United, but we're not probably going to get a great opportunity to see him do it over a period of games at Celtic. Hopefully, like I don't mean that in a bad way. You just didn't want Joe Hart getting injured because you know what you're getting with Joe Hart. CCV just seems Mr. Consistent, and Calmac just is Calmac. So it's they three, I think, are key to the team in the sense. But I think you could maybe rotate them a game here or there. But I would be more concerned if we were to lose the three over a long period of time.
Aye, it's a fair point, Andrew. What do you think? That's my point was like to say that not necessarily like a 6-month period or something like that, but I mean like. For example, if we dropped Calmac against on Wednesday night and you're putting somebody else in there, are we going to miss him that much? I think we could still get the result. I just think that the squad that Ange has built so far, and bear in mind the window's still open, we've got a few days left, could be adding to it, and we've still got the likes of Haksabanovic that we've not even seen yet. Is there anybody in there that you think's indispensable? And Brian, I agree with that. I think Calmax, he's the main man and he needs to be in the middle of the park. But I just think if we, for example, on Wednesday night, if we didn't play him, is it going to affect the team that much?
I think the person that I would say is indispensable is CCV, because if we think back to our earlier point, we wanted to try and maybe put Jens Starfelt and CCV in a back three, and it was instantly shot down. And we're like, no, don't think that's going to happen. And when we talked about Jens and Starfelt, none of us said, would we take CCV off? None of us said it. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that we've already got at least one position nailed. Hart, for Wednesday, I would personally drop Hart and put Seagrass in because of the knock that he took.
Aye.
Make sure he's okay. Seagrass is still a good goalie. And it's something that we really need. The key to Ange Ball. It's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. Like I say, Seagrass, I think, for like the kind of lower kind of cup games, like the last 16s and all that kind of stuff, I think perfectly fine. But then I think you would have to draft Hart back in. I just the top level experience, he's just not there yet. There you go, Kaiser. That's better. That's better. He typed what I was too scared to say.
I think that's a good point about Wednesday. I think with Hart taking that knock, it's maybe a good shout to put Seagrass in, mate. I would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. Just to make sure that he's okay. And Cal McGregor, wrap him in bubble wrap.
Aye.
Any games that we could put him off to make sure that he stays fit for the more important ones, I would definitely say do it.
I agree. Like I said, it's not so much. My point is, like, I'm not trying to say, like, when we go into Real Madrid, there's obviously 6 or 7, 8 players that you're like, they need to start. It's more so like throughout the season, there's not a massive drop off. Are you going to miss them so much in these games? Like for example, Wednesday night. Although don't count our chickens. It's going to be a tough game, obviously. But that's moving me right into my next point, which is great. This Champions League fixtures are out. We've got Real Madrid at home first on Wednesday. I am on Tuesday night. Is that right?
Yeah,
I'm absolutely devastated. I go away on holiday tomorrow and I'm flying back the night of that game. I could honestly agree.
Ouch.
So the flight mode will not be going on. There'll be Wi-Fi in the sky. And my plane might come down. But the weekend there was great preparation for it, isn't it? I love the fact as well, Friday, that Real Madrid officials are going to be watching Ross County. Us away at Ross County for Intel on Wednesday. Fucking brilliant, man. Do you think we've got a chance at home against Real Madrid? The way we're playing now?
Well, I'm not going to sit and... I don't know how Real Madrid have started the league. I know they won at the weekend there. But
I think they're top.
They predominantly start the Champions League fairly slow. But they're Real Madrid, and it's Real Madrid at the end of the day. The way the draws came out is sort of how I wanted it, but I wanted the Real Madrid tie sort of flipped, because if I've got real aspirations, I thought for second, I thought you kind of want Real Madrid to run away with the group. So maybe them beating us at the Bernabeu first game, and then you get to the last game, they've maybe only got to play guys like Camavinga and Rodrigo and that, or these other rubbish players. But they might rest like Benzema and Cruz and Modric might not playing. Or other wee superstars will come in. It might be a wee chance because it's maybe Real Madrid have secured top spot and you maybe still got a chance of playing for second. But at the end of the day, we wanted to win the Champions League. You can't. By the way, there's actually a police station just round the corner from where I'm on in Aberdeen.
He's getting questioned now because he murdered Stephen for not taking his fire alarm battery out.
But we wanted to be in this competition. A lot of us wanted Real Madrid, just want that glamour tie. So what better way to start the campaign is have the European champions, the current holders, at Parkhead.
Brilliant.
You've got to test yourself against the best. So it's just got to take, like, there's no easy games. There is no easy games in the Champions League. So you've just got to take it when you get it, but it's a fantastic way to open up the campaign. Well, and I'm like you, I'm absolutely buzzing for it.
Fair bit of negativity about playing Real Madrid in the comments tonight. I hope. Can't wait to come on next Friday when we beat them and give you all that stinking. But Andrew, it's great it's been great to have you on the night. But and it's great because we've all kind of had our opinions and talked about the Champions League, but we've obviously not heard your opinions. How do you think we're going to fare this year? Do you think that we can try and nick that second place, or do you think that third place is we need to cement that and then see how we go for there? And do you think it will cause any surprises or any upsets?
One thing with this Celtic team is that anything is possible. Anything is possible with this club. Well, everybody's saying it's Real Madrid's, all that kind of stuff. Can I just remind you, Barca won Celtic 2? Well, at Parkhead. Yep. Well, everybody wrote us off. We just thought, see if we could get a draw or even just put a decent performance in, we'd be fine. Well, and yes, we were getting absolutely battered. Well, because I was at that game, we were getting destroyed at some points, but the stats could say all they want. The final score still said Celtic 2, Barcelona 1. So it can be done. We have seen it before. Even harken back to the Martin O'Neill days. 1-0 against Barcelona, Alan Thompson in 2004. And again, they wrote us off. They did not think it was going to happen at all. I didn't think we could do it. We did. So anything is possible with that Celtic team. Anything is possible with the right atmosphere. The crowd are the 11th or the 12th man. They're always the one that can sway it. If we come out with the same energy, the same passion, we've got a chance. Now let me take my Celtic hat off. We're gonna get pumped.
Oh, you gave it a big light up there, too.
I'm only joking. I really do think. Well, I'll keep the Celtic hat off for that one. I think no matter what, you never underestimate Celtic. Never. Especially
now as well, mate. I think I've had my say plenty of times on a wee Champions League watch along as well, and I just think that we've had much weaker teams being successful in Europe, and it's because of the mentality. And I think Ange's instilled that mentality in this team now. And you touched on like Starfelt earlier, Andrew, and he's breeding confidence and he's getting goals now. For me, Ange's done that with the whole team, and I think they're going out every week we're absolutely destroying teams at the moment, playing liquid football, and the mentality is to go and kill, which we did at the weekend. And that was going to be my next point. Real Madrid had a couple of results like that last season. So, and this is the elite. Nobody's turning up to and expecting to beat anybody. And I just think Ange's instilled this mentality in us. And I really think that we're going to go and we're going to surprise a few folk. Alistair, I said that as well. I think there'll be a few 3-2s and 4-3s in their group because Ange's philosophy is let's go. If they're going to score 3, let's try and score 4. But I've never been. I can't remember the last time I was as excited going into a European campaign. I just think we're flying at the moment, and I can't wait to see what Ange does against these teams, pitting his wits against the best, because I think he's a top tier manager.
Yeah, let's not forget that there's a wee hidden factor that might put a fire up our backsides. Rangers are in the Champions League, and they have been warding about all their European successes lately. In some cases, rightly so, they have done well, but it has been majorly pissing everybody in our half of Glasgow off. We will want to go out and say, aye, bring it, just to shut them up. So, Ange, use that in your team talk, especially if you're playing Calmac.
No, I can't wait for it to happen, for it all to go ahead, and what a game to start. Madrid at home. Looking forward to it. Quick look ahead to Wednesday night. We've kind of touched on that a wee bit here, but are you expecting to see changes, Franny? You thinking there's going to be a wee bit of rotation, and if so, who do you think might come in?
I think there was. I think I'm with you. I think Seagrass will come in. I think that the injury is going to help make that decision probably a wee bit easier, bringing him in. I think Ralston will start at right back. CCV, I think, will play he's a bit like Calmac seems to play every game, and I think Starfelt might keep his position because I think you might see Bernabe play at left back. So it's just getting a wee bit more muscle in there. I think Moy will come in, but I think Calmac will stay, but maybe just push into the 8. And then Tumble probably coming in instead of O'Reilly. And then the front three is where I'm honestly strong, so I'm trying to think, will Maeda start through the middle or out wide and keep Kyogo? It all depends on Giakoumakis, but if Giakoumakis isn't fit, I think it'll probably be Maeda through the middle, Forrest on the left and Abada on the right, just simply because Abada scored a hat-trick and can't drop him really.
Interesting, mate. I'll give you changes in.
I would probably put Maeda. If Giakoumakis is fit, I'd probably put Maeda in the left.
I think Giakoumakis, I think he said, I don't know if it's how he is now, but I think he said that it was just illness, wasn't he? And he'd be fine in a day or two, so hopefully he can slot in. You think it'll be a comfortable win?
Maybe about a 2-0, 3-1. I'm not too sure. It's just a very comfortable 2-0. It's never an easy place to go to Ross County, so...
Seen a couple of comments agreeing with you on Ralston there. I think Brian McCabe said Ralston after his exploits last year, obviously up there. Andrew, what do you think? Do you think we'll... I'm not sure I agree with that one though, Brian. Andrew, do you think we'll make... I know you've touched on it already with Seagrass and stuff like that. Do you think we'll make a few changes with Saturday in mind? If so, who do you think will come in, and what do you think? How do you think we'll go on Wednesday night?
Yeah, I think we'll make a few changes. And can I just say in the comments, I'm loving the wrestling crossovers that are coming in there.
That next,
bit of Hulkamania, a bit of Kurt Angle.
In there.
I could say, just wait for like the beast incarnate and Ange Postecoglou's face just photoshopped onto it. Someone does that, we're rolling. I think Seagrass is the main nail on one for me. Because of the injury, definitely. Yeah, you might see.
I was going to ask you that next. If he's, we've not seen any of him at all yet. I'm not sure if he's got clearance and all that. I would imagine so now.
If he's got it, I probably wouldn't start him. I'd maybe have a wee like a second half cameo, maybe last 20 minutes or something, depending on how we do. I don't think it's going to be a clean sheet, just because it'll be Seagrass's kind of first game. If he does play, he'd be a bit rusty. So that's maybe why I think he'll still have a good game. I don't think he'll let too many in. I think maybe it would be and maybe go 3-1. And it would just be like Celtic well, of course, in recent Celtic history to come off such a great win, and they get hammered with a first goal straight away, and you're like, oh no. Hey, Egyptian King, he's back. We had to tempt him out. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a Celtic type of thing. Like we come off such a big high, and then we go into the next game, and we get like, we just get a bit too cocky, and then it's 1-0, and then we'll just be like, okay, gloves are off, bang, bang, bang. So we'll see what happens. That's the only reason that I think that we would concede a goal, just because Seekers hasn't had like a proper run yet. But it's looking good.
We've played them earlier on in the season, and it's the only goal we've conceded was against them as well so far. So it'll be an interesting game. But I agree. I think in the whole, I think we're just going to be far too strong for them. But that's us for the night. Thanks very much, Andrew, for coming on. Franny, as usual. Guys,
pleasure.
Super 6, get involved. Your man's taking Franny off. Who was it? Sean Ross? Sean Ross, well done, mate. You've taken Franny off a top spot, so you need to keep going. There's midweek games, so you'll hate to get on it tonight or tomorrow and get your scores and everything in. We are back again, usual time, Friday. I'm away on holiday for a week, but I'll still be tuning into the boys. Looking forward to getting away. Tuning into the boys.
Have a lovely holiday, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Same time, same place, Friday. Get involved, troops. Thanks very much. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.